Welcome to day 4 of relearning mechanics. A lot of day 3 I think is going to be cut up in the YouTube video, so this might not be video number 4, but it is day 4. Played about 7.5 hours of StarCraft. I don't know if there was a lot of breaks and queue times and all that kind of stuff going on, so I wouldn't say it's a full 7.5 hours of practice, but the stream lasted 7.5 hours long, and that was a good session. So, we are going to do some more drills this morning. We did make some mistakes, and we kind of found some of our weak points, and so we're going to try to address those. And the first weak point that I noticed is that our opening sequence is pretty bad. So we're not even going to worry about this too much. Our opening sequence is taking quite a while. So we're just going to hold O, click, one. Oh, I already messed it up. Okay, see, there it is. All right, slow. Add to the control group, second base, and this is a new map, so let's actually think about this for a moment. Third base, fourth base. Ooh, fourth base. Yeah, the opening sequence needs work. All right, let's try this again. Build a drone, click on the hatchery, center, and add to control group. First base, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. I think this base. I don't know how this map ends up getting split up. Let's check to see if we got him. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Ha! Huh. Still make mistakes. What's up, Lagerman? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so we definitely need some deliberate practice on this. Because if you can very quickly set all your cameras in the beginning of the game, that means you can more consistently get the build order right. We want to have just like setting all of our cameras. I don't even know if it's opening sequence anymore. I think that the correct thing to do is to build your drone and then shift click over to the minerals. Well, see, my shift click is actually quite bad. Let's practice that for a second. You shift click over to the minerals with the worker that's about to return the cargo to the outside. Obviously, you don't do this every time. You just do this in the very beginning. We have our regular setup. Build a drone. Shift click over, shift click over. Regular setup, build a drone. Shift click over. Oh, I guess that still works. Okay. Back to the home position. Shift click over. Oh, too slow. Home position. And shift click over, shift click over. Home position. Shift click over, shift click over. A little bit off. Home position. Shift click over, shift click over. Okay. Home position, hanging out. Shift click over, shift click over. Okay. That's pretty good. After we build the first worker, we pair our minerals over, and then we set the cameras very quickly. So we're gonna gotta go slow to go fast. Doesn't make sense, but it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Yeah, so these last two are really uncomfortable. I've been thinking about trying to find a way to change these. Reaching all the way down to slash. I'm thinking about changing these. Alright. 1, 2, 3. That's easy. 4, 5, 6. Maybe we just reach out and go 7, 8. I think that's easier. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to do that. The other thing that I do suggest, you'll notice that I'm making changes to the core that are going to end up in the core. But you should make changes to the core as well. You should go ahead and make customizations to the core as you see fit in the way that you use it. Let's change these last two to open bracket and apostrophe. Let's see how that feels. So, imagine it's the beginning of the game. We're holding down the drone key. We click on the hatchery, and then shift click over, shift click over. Whoops. That's quite bad. Shift click over, shift click over. Well, actually, let's go ahead and try it again, right? Imagine it's the beginning of the game. We're holding the drone key. Click. And shift click over, shift click over. Too slow. Try again. Holding the drone key. Click. Ah, I think I see I'm making a mistake. So the next thing that we're going to do after we're holding the drone key is to shift click over and stuff. We don't need to center this and add this yet. That's actually from the old opening sequence that's messing me up. So imagine it's the beginning of the game. We hold the worker key, click, and then center. Okay, let's see if we can get that a couple of times. Oh, it's so much easier. We're not trying to do stuff in between. All right, one more time. Okay, it's the beginning of the game. Click. Now we set up, add our cameras, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me check our cameras. Alt? Shit. Oh, right. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. Again. That's definitely an improvement. Alright, so we're in the home position. It's the beginning of the game. Hold the drone key, and if you click the hatchery, the drone will begin immediately. Then shift click over, center 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I didn't pick the right. Oh no, I did. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those seem like decent bases to get. I was mistaking this for the third because I was like, look, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we did it. Cool. Let's try to do it 2 more times without making any mistakes. It's the beginning of the game. Oh. It's the beginning of the game. We'll have plenty of time to get ourselves in position for the beginning of the game. That's fine. Hold the worker key, click, and then branch off. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Mineral cluster
7,
expended.
8. to building a drone. All right, cool. One more time, and then we'll probably reset and try to do a 17, 18, 17 next, I think. That's probably the way to go. All right. That's the beginning of the game. We're in home position, holding the worker key, and click. 1, 2. Oh, no, I messed it up. Ah! I was panicking. Don't panic. Relax. Beginning of the game. Home position. Holding the worker key. Hold the worker. Shift click out. Shift click out. 1, 2, 3. I think I want to add to the control group first and then hit the camera key. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting it. And I did it backwards that time, so we're going to reset. Okay. Here we are. It's beginning of the game. We're in the home position. Hold the worker key. Click. Shift click out. Shift click out. Add 1. Cool. Again. Repetition is the path to mastery. Hold the worker key in the home position. Click. Oops. It won't be that messy on the opening because the drones have a better add. Yeah, so checking the cameras is still coming a little bit slowly. Let's do it again. Home position, hold the O key, and click.
Mineral field exhausted. Mineral cluster expended.
And let's check the cameras. And go back. Check the cameras and go back. Check the cameras and go back. Gotta remember that we're already in position to go back when we're checking the cameras. It's just a different thing than what I'm used to, mentally speaking. Okay. Alright. Let's reset. Start working on that 17, 18, 17. Rewind. And take command. Hold the worker key in the home position. We're a little bit slow with this second drone. Maybe we don't set the cameras at this stage in the game. We don't have to click the game over screen in the real game, so that's a little bit of APM. But hey, what's up, Dad Cop? Welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. I'm practicing something that if you're a new player, you should practice. So you can just follow along at home. Just boot up a game, put no opponent in, and use the rewind, replay, and take command feature to get the first couple steps of the game down pat perfectly. Welcome back. All right, so we set it back to 0. Tape command. Be holding the worker button. As the game is restarting, we're holding the worker button. Click. Let me get ready for this. We actually messed up there. So you don't need to reselect the hatchery. Because after you build the first worker, the next thing you're doing is shift queuing to the outside from the middle. Oh, good. You're playing Zerg. Perfect. And this is really stuff you want to be doing. This is great. Follow along at home. And so, rewind. Pause all the way back. Take command. Start the game. Hold the worker key. Turn the game, click worker, and then be ready for shift click to the outside. And then set up your cameras in your first control group. Yep, I think we're not going to do it at that stage. So we're going to make an adjustment. We're going to build our first worker, send the overlord out, shift click. Can we do that? Probably. Let's try it. Let's try it that way. This is part of the game too. You have to tweak things when you realize inefficiencies exist and then make adjustments. I see new hotkeys. Indeed, Kashanas. Indeed. TheCourse 6.0. We're still making some tweaks here and there, but for the most part, it's done. Take command. Hold the worker key. Get ready for the split. Send the overlord out. And then get ready for the next drone. Yep. Next drone gets rallied to the side. And then we build an overlord, which we send out to the next spot. Oh yeah, so we really need to have our hatchery control group already set. Maybe we set the first camera. You know what? I think we're just going to set the first camera in the beginning because there's a bunch of stuff that we want to do. We want both the camera and the control group to do it. Let's try that. How does it compare to the Core 3.0? Everything's different. You'll probably have to relearn every single key that you've learned, as I am doing right now. The primary difference is single press cameras. For the first 4, anyway. Single press cameras has never been done in the core before. We've always layered them with a modifier. But now we're trying something new, which is always fun. Also make sure, when you're playing, that you have your posture as good as it can possibly be. Your posture is a big reason why you're going to get wrist pain or not, because your spine has nerves, and those nerves go to your wrists. And sometimes you feel the pain in your wrists, but it's actually a problem at the spine level. Kashanis, this does not mean more area hotkeys. More area of hotkeys? Oh, yeah. The area is bigger. But the sacrifice is that the 7th through 10th control groups are a little bit further out in order for the cameras, the first 4 cameras, to be a little bit closer. Dadcop, no, I do not want to 1 versus 1 because I'm trying to improve. A little counterintuitive, but I'm here to fix my leaks and make adjustments. I played 7.5 hours of melee StarCraft versus humans. And you really want to be careful with how much you do that in the beginning, because that's what makes you establish bad mechanical habits. So now that we've established some areas of weakness, now we're going to work on them in the lab, as it were. All right. We're going to set the first. We're going to do the first camera. All right. We're in the home position. We're holding the worker key. Shift, shift. Send the overlord out? We don't want to send the overlord out first, I think. Worker. Actually, the optimal situation is worker overlord split, because we want the overlord to be moving as soon as possible because it gives us a gameplay advantage. And we have a certain amount of time before the split needs to occur. So let's try that. The reason why we're so focused on the beginning of the game, just for this first part, is because the beginning of the game is something that happens every single game, no matter what. And if you're going to make a bad habit happen, and it's in the beginning of the game, that's the hardest thing to rewrite. That's the hardest thing to fix. So you really want to get this beginning part set, so that way it's always the same, and then we're just re-ingraining it and reinforcing those good habits right from the beginning. All right, so after some analysis, build the worker, send the overlord. We can readjust the exact position of the overlord, but we want to get the overlord moving in the general direction of our opponent. And we're going to have to put an overlord readjustment in there, I think. I think that's the way to do it. Let's try. It was a little bit slow. Ooh, cool. That was much better. That was much better. Got good at doing a Zerg rush before 3 minutes into the game. Be careful. Be careful of the dark side of the strat. Cheese is a short-term game. It will get you victories, and it'll make you feel good, but you will not be developing the primary skills that you need to develop in order to be a strong player long term. So if you cheese in the beginning and you do it often, what happens is you're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a wall that you can't break through. And the only way to fix it is to go back and do things differently. It's like you're trying to reach the summit of a mountain, and you're going up and you're going up, and you reach this peak, but you realize there's this peak over here. But in order to get to it, you have to like take this circuitous route, go back down where you started, and then go all this other direction to get to the peak. The question is, where do you want to be? Do you want to be at the top of your potential, or do you want to make it 3/4 of the way, halfway, etc.? Cheese is a really powerful thing in series. To learn a cheese is very powerful to mix into a best of 5 or a best of 7. But if you're looking to reach the top of your potential, except maybe with the exception of cannon rushing. For some reason, cannon rushing, as printf has shown us, can get all the way up to GM. But maybe aside from that, most other cheese is not really gonna. It's not gonna allow you to get to the pinnacle of your potential. And you're gonna have to just learn a whole bunch of skills. You're basically putting off learning your macro skills. You're gonna have to learn them eventually if you want to get to the top. My philosophy is I'm gonna learn them now, which is why we're doing a roach max build. We're learning how to max on roaches, and that is gonna get us pretty much all of our basic mechanics, and then we can improvise from there. All right, so let's refresh. It's worker, send overlord, split, build second worker, and rally, and then probably readjust overlord. Yeah, I think readjust overlord. We'll have a little bit of time to readjust the overlord after that. Let's do it. Disaster. Less talking, more practicing. Okay, so I realize we want to have this camera after we send the overlord, because we want the overlord to go to a particular place. You know, each game we're going to want like a certain spot. Maybe that's the spot for like a ZVZ. Or maybe like something like this. Something like this. You know. Cool. Okay, so let's refresh in our mind before we execute. We're going to build the drone, send the overlord, do the split. Second drone rallies here, control group and camera, readjust overlord position. Let's go. I thought I set the camera, but apparently I did not. Okay. Let's slow down at that new part, the camera part, make sure we're getting it right. It is the weakest part. It was definitely the hardest part when we were playing team games yesterday. We definitely messed it up. Not messed it up, we usually had to take a long time. It's taken a little bit to get into the procedural memory. Build a worker, send the overlord, do the split. Second worker rallies, set the camera and the control group, readjust overlord position. Let's go. Holding the worker button in the home position. Overlord. Extractor. Next drone. Cancel. Ooh, cool. Cool. I added some extra stuff just because I know what's next, but good. Good, good, good. Nice. Again. Again is your favorite and at the same time least favorite word. Again. Again, again, again. Oh, it's so slow. Usually the split works, but apparently on this map it doesn't. All right, we're getting there. Home position, holding the worker button. Shit, I thought I set that camera. Apparently I did not. cancel button. We're also learning how to cancel. Learning where the cancel button is important. Learning where the shift button is important. This kind of encapsulates almost, it's just a lot of the really basic keys that we need to memorize, where they are on the keyboard. As a reminder, I am using my left hand on the keyboard for the first time in 8 years, so literally finding where these keys are and pressing them without looking is part of the process. And it's important to remember that for new players, that's a big part of the process. So while you're yelling at them, telling them to build more overlords, they're just like, where is that button? Ugh, there it is. And by that time, you've already told them to do 3 other different things, and they get overwhelmed and frustrated. And you're like, why does no one play StarCraft? Well, our teaching methods are quite bad. Okay. Again. We're in the home position. Holding the worker button. Make sure we set it this time. Okay, there's period. Period on rapid fire. Ooh! We found an error. We're not going to fix it right now, but I do want to write it down somewhere. Okay. Rapid fire gather. Make sure we get that set up. I'll fix it before the next session. For now, we won't worry about it. We can add that in later, I think. We'll try to time it nicely. So we're just going to keep doing this, and when we get it right and we're doing well, we're just going to add the next step. What we're doing is a 17, 18, 17. It's one of the most basic, solid openings that you can do in StarCraft for Zerg. It can defend against pretty much all the early stuff if you learn how to react properly, and it gets you set up for a decent economy for the mid-game. You will be the wax-on, wax-off Karate Kid of StarCraft against all the cheese when you've learned the 17, 18, 17. Okay. Well, I mean, eventually. 17, 18, 17, in that metaphor, is kind of like learning how to stand and have balance, and then using your arms to deflect attacks, you know, and feet, I suppose, occasionally. That's all the reactions that you need to learn. But first, you have to stand in the bow of the rowboat and learn your balance. Holding the worker button. Yeah! Disaster! Again. Make sure you're sitting up straight. This is your posture check speaking. Make sure you're sitting up straight. You want your brain to be communicating to your body because that's how you play StarCraft. Home position, holding down the worker button. Slightly out of order there. Next is the Overlord. We build extractor, worker. Well, it worked this time. Speed is probably a factor. And the fact that I'm... Oh, no, it's not, because it's all shift click. Huh. That was a good little moment, though. We did things slightly out of order, but we improvised, and we were able to stay on top of it. That's nice. We wanted to get it right every time, but, you know, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't. But yeah, after this, there's a little bit of a lull. while we wait for the Overlord to finish and build our next 2 drones and send the worker to go to the natural to expand. So I think that's the little gap in time that we have to go ahead and set the rest of our cameras. I think that's really the way that we're going to get it done. There's so much to do in the beginning of the game. Are you bored in the beginning of your StarCraft game? There's so much to do. So much to do. You're just like, it doesn't matter. To be fair, this is small stuff, right? Knowing when to build workers or when to build units, that's monumentally important. We'll lose or win you many more games than the beginning, but I really like to play efficiently, and I like to have really good habits. And whenever you're learning a new hotkey layout or you're learning a game for the first time, that's your moment, right? Before you ingrain all these bad habits, that's your moment to really get the good habits in. And then once they're in, you never think about them again. They're just there, giving you this tiny little advantage all the time without any effort, right? You put the effort in now, and then for the rest of your games, every game you're going to do this. The rest of your games, you get this tiny little advantage, which is just a bit nice. It's a little bit nice. All right, we're in the home position. We're going to press the worker button because workers are great. Just the Overlord. Second Overlord. And the rest of the cameras. Okay. I think we have time. Once we get a little bit faster, I think we have time to set the rest of our cameras there. Ooh, actually, this is probably the spot. While we're waiting for the 300 minerals, I think that gap is even bigger. I think that gap is even bigger while we're waiting for the 300 minerals. All right, so you see 17. When we build it, we go to 16 out of 22. We go to 16 from 17. But we build it on 17. That's the first part of the 17, 18, 17. Okay. Hand is in position. Hold down the worker key. We didn't adjust positioning. And then, the next part. The next part, after we build the hatchery, see we're adding just a little bit each time we get it right. We just add a little bit on, is to recenter the camera and set the rally point. Add a control group, reset the camera, add the rally point. 3 steps. But we did mess up the cameras there. We try to get them done real quick. We could do the cameras kind of piecemeal. TheCourse has found something interesting in the closet. We could do it kind of piecemeal. Do the first 4 cameras at one spot and do the next 4 at another spot. Generally speaking, you don't get too far past the first 4 bases in games of StarCraft. Eventually you get to late games and stuff like that, but a lot of times games will end before then. Again. Actually, you know what? How long have you been streaming? 47 minutes? Yeah. About every hour, you probably want to stand up. It's good to do. Stretch. Wow. I don't know if that comes through on the mic. Those are some serious back cracks. Get the blood flowing. You really shouldn't sit for more than an hour at a time. That shit can kill you. It's not a joke. Sitting and sugar are the enemy of your health. Attack them with as much ferocity as you can muster. Do a couple stretches. I might as well tell you what stretches I'm doing here, right? So this is going to stretch the carpal tunnel, which we all are worried about. The other tunnels are radial and cubital, but I don't remember which stretch does which. In any case, then you go over the top, just so you feel a stretch. And I do these for about 10 seconds because I do them throughout the day. But a lot of people suggest 30 seconds and do 3 sets. More or less do 10 seconds. Just to kind of get things moving around. Over the top, so this is going to stretch that over the top section. Sometimes you'll have discomfort there. And then rev the engines. And that's going to stretch all up here. Revving the engines. And that's it. It didn't take a whole lot of time out of our day. It didn't take a whole lot of time out of our practice. But it helps a ton when you're getting to those, third or fourth hour sitting down. And you don't feel so tired. You don't get burned out. You can play longer and better. So stretching is going to give you some free MMR. Not bad. All right. In position, we're going to take command, holding the worker key. All right, so I figured out something. I made a mistake, so I'm going to restart. I figured out for this map, you want to rally the first worker that comes back to this patch, the second worker that comes back to this patch. You notice this time we have the pairing. A little bit of shuffling around there for a moment, but then it comes back. These 4 minerals are the closest minerals, and you want them to be mined by 2 workers before the other ones are mined by 2 workers. You can always tell the closest minerals because they have more. Remaining 1,600 or so, much less, right? Usually about half. Quick tips, and that'll actually get you more minerals, more economy than your opponent, who says, I'm going to just do this weird boxy thing in the beginning. I'm going to box my workers over to the side. It's a terrible idea. And it's all kinds of extra work that's just not necessary that you don't need to do. It only takes 2 clicks. Be efficient. Be efficient. Don't waste your time, because time is what StarCraft is made of. It's also what your life is made of, but, this is StarCraft, so time is what StarCraft is made of. We didn't do the Overlord readjust, right? Last time. Is it a big deal in game? No. We're trying to practice to get it right, to make it the same every time, and if it's the same every time, it will get faster and faster and faster and faster. If we're improvising a lot, it'll take longer to get faster. I'm trying to learn this procedure. Oh, actually, I need to, now that I know how to do it correctly, I need to do it correctly. This is the first patch. Let's see if that works. Shit. Alright, let's practice the cameras for a minute. Yeah, that's the motion. So home position, set the camera. Home position, set the camera. Home position, set the camera. Home position. It's quite the shift. Holding the worker button. Huh. It's worker then overlord, silly goose. That's a gameplay error. The overlord getting to where it needs to go, the scouting timing of the overlord, sometimes means you'll get to that high ground spot, and it sometimes means the Marines will kill your overlord. So it can definitely matter. Getting the overlord going right away is very valuable. Some of these maps, it's quite tight timing. So it's actual gameplay difference there. Imagine that second click of your game not being the overlord could mean a dead overlord, a supply block, and then you get killed by a rush. Imagine that. It's not going to happen most of the time, but you're going to play more than 100 games, so it only has to happen 1% of the time for you to lose MMR to this silly thing that you could have fixed right in the beginning with a habit. With a habit. Let's go. Let's set the rest of our cameras. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Second camera. Oh yeah. Oh man, that's the one. Also, this is set to rapid fire, so. Cool. Okay, this is the furthest that we've made it so far. Now, if we're doing this correctly, by the time when we build this with 300 minerals, we should be right on that next drone as quickly as possible. And technically, it's not necessary to even jump back and look at it. We can just build it from here, because we already have this selected. We can just build the drones from here, see? We don't need to look back. We can look back after. But it should be sequential. If you go back and you find you're building 2 drones at a time, you're late on the first drone. And your first drone is going to build your gas. And you want your gas timing to be consistent, and you want to get Zergling speed. Again, all this little stuff adds up. Getting your Zergling speed on time means, especially imagine in ZVZ, you get speed first, you get to win a fight, basically. If you're out on the map and all of a sudden you get speed and your opponent doesn't have it, they're going to try to run away, you're going to get some free lings, maybe you kill those lings, maybe now they didn't build lings because they were building drones, so you win the game. Only has to happen 1% of the time to get you free MMR. No more juice! I have to drink some more water. is coming online. This is a lot like in chess, learning the first couple of opening moves. Like, really, you only need to learn the first 2 or 3 opening moves to get a huge advantage over your opponents. Just to get you off on the right foot, you know? Get you started on the right foot, which is really nice. Awesome. Okay. Holding the worker button. Ah, missed these drones. Yeah, so I started setting my cameras too early. I should have been focused on building those 2 drones. So after the 2 drones, that's when we set the cameras. Just finding little gaps in time where there's nothing else going on to set the cameras. That's really what setting the cameras is about. So if you're watching this and you're interested in playing Terran or Protoss, all we're doing here is grabbing a solid safe build. So maybe like a 1 gas core expand for a Protoss and a Reaper fast expand for a Terran. I think those would be those. I've been playing a lot of Zerg recently, so I don't know what the safe openers are. I think those are them. You know, opening 1 gas with Protoss into an expansion. People aren't forge fast expanding, are they? I don't know. I think the shield batter has made getting the cyber core very valuable. Shield battery is pretty great. But yeah, so in the early build order, we're just looking for a period in time where we're kind of waiting on some minerals to show up, and that's the time. That's the time. Again. Home position, hold the worker button. This worker goes to build the expansion. Okay. Now we set the rest of our cameras. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We go back to our second with plenty of time. Alright, so when I built this, I had 29 extra resources. We want to make that 0. So maybe we adjust slightly and we build the hatch, build the next drone, then set the cameras up and all that stuff. Let's try that. We don't have to get faster if we can just change the order of things so we can utilize the bigger gaps in time that occur. Especially in the beginning of the game, there are these little gaps in time where there's nothing to do. You just need to wait for the next moment. And so we're trying to utilize all those moments as efficiently as possible because we're slightly insane. That's all right. That's all right. Again. That's not right. That wasn't right at all. Nine minerals. That's acceptable. Pretty much, if you're in the single digits after you build something, you're good to go. That's kind of the rule of thumb for me. Honest is awfully close to 10, but it's basically means one mineral trip has occurred. Cool. Again. We did mess up the cameras that time. I know what we're doing. We're sometimes setting this to the natural camera instead of the main camera. That's what's happening. Uh-oh. We found a habit. That's bad. Quickly. We must exterminate. Exterminate. We must exterminate the habit. We have to exterminate the habit. So, when it comes to that part of the build, we have to be extra careful. And slow down a little bit. Just a little bit. Now we're going to set this camera and these cameras and these cameras. Go back to the second base, center. Get that next drone ready. And then next drone after that. I go here and here. And this is where we have a moment here to check for triples. There's a triple. Cool. All right, so at this stage, this is new stuff. At this stage, we have 16 workers on the minerals. And adding more workers into the minerals is going to make them bounce around and screw up. It's going to add travel time, so we're going to run out of mineral efficiency. If you can go 18 out of 16 and ensure that two far patches, far, not close, are on 3, are tripled up as it were, they have 3 workers here, then it is 99% efficient. But if you don't do that and you just send them in, it's going to make these workers bounce around all over the place, and they're going to be mining instead of working. That's not good. You want them working because you need your minerals because you don't want to die, because dying sucks. So the version of this build that I've been using, that I like to use, you can use whatever version you like, keeps it at 16, keeps it paired up, and these workers, as we build them, not right now, but as we build them, we'll just get rallied into the gas. And that'll give us a little bit more minerals. Zerglings will be a little bit slower than if we pulled off of the line, but it'll allow us to get a third early, and we'll have more money for queens potentially. I like it. I think especially for Zerg, having lots of minerals in the early game is quite nice. But yeah, more or less, this is it. We've reached the point where we built all the things. There's only 3 things to build, but there's a surprising number of things that we have to do, or that are great to do. So for me, just some Overlord stuff. Oh, we didn't readjust Overlord position. Nah. That's going to be important. For me, posture check. First Overlord kind of goes to the natural, sees what's going on. Especially useful to scout if there is a natural at all. If there's not, that's a big sign. And then the second Overlord gets kind of in position to scout the main at 4 minutes. Because you can see this is the second Overlord I made. And it kind of checks the natural for proxies. And then goes around to get in position. And then it'll be right about ready to go at 4 minutes. Maybe, actually, getting a little bit more circuitous path might be nice. If we go across in such a way that we grab maybe this base and then go across. Because, I mean, you could sneak a proxy over here. Proxy Stargate. Imagine a proxy Stargate that was like right here. That'd be brutal. Cool. Cool. Nice little milestone here. We're going to keep working. Obviously, we only got it right-ish. We didn't put the workers in gas yet, but once. So we really want to practice it and get it going on. We did make a mistake as not readjusting our Overlord position. One of the other things, we can get a little bit more accurate. You know, we can at least click here instead of here. We can at least do that. So we'll try to do that for the next time around. I'm going to take a small break. And when we get back, doing more build ordering.